welcome to the Totem 4563 channel. I'll be doing a little segment today. It's called Mondes Reviews on Oversoul. Well, Mondes Reviews. And what it is I'll be reviewing some games and probably do some gameplay videos on Oversoul, which is my main game here today. Now, for some little updates, the Crystal of the Void series has been postponed. I just released the demo of Guardian Spirits, which you should look forward to. And that's pretty much it. And I'm working on a new project called Terrace of Destiny. And that game is going to take a while for me because I'm actually going to put real pictures into it, meaning I'm going to be taking pictures of I'll be taking pictures of landscapes and actual people to be part of the game. So now let's get to it. Now, Oversoul is an MMORPG card-based game. It's a very unique, interesting concept game that I have seen in 2013, I believe. In 2013, actually no, 2012, onwards to 2013. And what it is you capture and possess monsters to join your team. It's pretty much like, think of Pokemon, Duel Masters, Yu-Gi-Oh, that sort of thing. But if I wanted to compare, I would have to compare it to Chaotic, which was one of the most interesting aspect game I've ever seen. Though I'm kind of pretty sure that Bakugan took that fucking idea. Well, anyways, Oversoul is directed, and its lead developer is aka Milton Poole, who is also aka Nulgath, aka Miltonius. There you go, I got the name there. And he is one of the artists and animator for Oversoul. He also did art and animation for Hi Hi Puffy and Yumi Show, and did art and animation for Artix vs. the Undead, which you're able to check out on YouTube. It was also for Dragon Fable. Nulgath also did a bit of art for Adventure Quest Worlds before he moved on to Oversoul. Basically, in the Dage vs. Nulgath war, Nulgath apparently won, but was thrown into the Oblivion Gate to go get Oversoul. Nulgath was gonna either win or lose. He would be thrown into the Oblivion Gate. Down in his team, he has a 6-man team working for him. He's one of the 6, so the other 5 members, one of his artists would be Reventhius. He's done some pretty amazing artwork with Aberrant the Exiled, which is one of my main shadow characters, and I'm going to upgrade him once card customization comes out. After that, you have the sound and music development team, King Clunk and Dilligaff. Whew. Didn't have that. And finally, you have the 2 main coders for the game: Warlick, the Blue Mage, who also does coding for Dragon Fable, and Rolith, Warlick does coding and animation for Warlick does coding for MechQuest. That's another Artix entertainment game. And Rolith is another coder that does the coding for Dragon Fable. See, got it there. And so far they've done some pretty amazing stuff on the game, and they just released Beta Revolution, which is one of the most eye candy thing ever, and they fixed majority of the bugs that plagued the old game engine. So now we're gonna take a look at gameplay mechanics and upcoming features for the game. Now, on gameplay style, I give Oversoul, I was gonna give Oversoul 8 out of 10 based on my previous review, my attempted previous review. Reason is because there were bugs that did plague the game server, but the game's still young. You're bound to have bugs. But then when you had questing like the rat quest, you would have these constant freezes in the game if you click your mouse too fast to draw cards. And also one of the quests in the cellar was bugged as well. That's why I was going to give it 8 out of 10. But because of the majority of the bugs have been eliminated, I give it a 9 out of 10. Artwork, I give a 9.5. I give a 9.5 out of 10. Reason why 0.5 is because of repetitive actions from monsters. Though I understand, it's kind of hard to throw your imagination out there. Plus, you're only limited in a 2D game. That's very understandable, But then when I take a look at Aberrant's past forms, it's like, are you kidding me? It's basically reskins from Nomad. But that's the small stuff. Like Nippon Bancho said, don't sweat the small stuff. Down towards in gameplay as well, I forgot to add a little tidbit. The battle system in itself is interesting. It feels like a card game now compared to the past one. Feels like a card game now. Though some people have some issues with the animations of the cards. I find it, I did have some issues with the animation, but it's a lot when the role explained to why they have animations. Though the your turn thing and enemy's turn thing is a bit too much on the issue. It's very feeling like a card game. And also the most interesting aspect that they added, it's not most interesting, but an interesting factor that they added would have to be the UI's faded out. When as soon as you go into battle, you could see your interface and everything. But then when you go into battle, the characters do their intros and then the interface just fades in. And it's beautiful, it's good. No, not good. It's great. Though the thing a lot of people don't like in the new battle interface is the hands. The hands like ghost hands, like they say the hands are ugly. I wouldn't mind if they did a little change to it, make the hands a bit transparent. Because you're technically dead in the story of Oversoul. You're practically much dead. Or claws, maybe. Though claws might be a bit pushing it, because you're technically a human, a dead human. Undead, either one. A soul, there you go, a soul. So, and also you'll be able to, another interesting feature is like, you'll be able to rank up your characters, meaning you can evolve them free or by SGs meaning by soul gems. And you evolve your characters from first level's apprentice. You evolve them at level 4, you can evolve them to veteran. At level 10, you can evolve them to masters. And then at level 20, you can evolve them to legendary. And later on in upcoming features, you can evolve the characters based on the alignment, which is going to be pretty amazing in the fact. So let's see here. Gameplay is a 9. Artwork is 9.5. Now we'll take a look at the music. I'll give it a 9 as well. Reason is because the music sometimes can get a bit repetitive, but the music is great. It is amazing. I love it. It is original. It's got the orchestral feeling. I mean, I played Epic Duel before, which is one of the Artix Entertainment games. It's got no music at all. It's better. The music is amazing because one, it's better than having no music at all. And then number 2, it's different. You got music for being defeated, music for failed capture, music for for the town and the world map. I wouldn't mind if they changed up the music. Actually, I think it would be better if they changed the music for when you face against the bosses, because the boss battles are detrimental. In every RPG game, boss battles always had their own music. If you take a good look at the Final Fantasy series, like the common bosses would have their own, would be like the same music. I'm talking about that kind of stuff. Change the music from the regular Oversoul music. That sort of thing. And now I'm gonna go over the, I didn't even script this out. I'm just going on whatever at the top of my head. Now I'm gonna go over at the upcoming features. First, you got card customization. What I can get from card customizations, you cannot customize your main deck. Reason is because, and also I find this acceptable. Reason is because of this. The developers can, what do you call it? They can universally control the starter decks. It's because earlier in the issues, Storm Knight, I believe, had issues with having Earth cards in his deck. Reason why it's more acceptable to have, you won't be able to, and I know that, which is acceptable, because it'd be a lot more work if the devs add the wrong starter cards to the deck. you know, another reason why, you know, I kind of like the idea of having not to be able to remove the cards from the starter decks is because of, one, it brings out uniqueness. And think about it, you know, if you take a look at Adventure Quest Worlds, you know, the only thing that made it different in terms of combat was the class sets. Now if you just, you know, and it pretty much was just a dress-up game with all the different types of swappable armor. Now when you take a look at Oversoul, you know, reason why I like the fixed starter decks is because it brings the monster, it gives uniqueness to the monster. It makes the monster unique in terms of attack, defense, capabilities. You know, if you're able to swap out, you know, weaker cards, if you're able to swap out the weaker cards and stuff, then it wouldn't be much of a, you know, like, you know, the customization's there, but it feels like a dress-up game. You know, I'd rather have, you know, be forced to strategize based on the cards that I have at the current moment, because it gives off, you know, a challenge. It gives me the challenge to, I'm limited, because I fought one of the 4 knights before who had a Void Knight, who was not far, on par with my Aberrant, though Aberrant was a bit weaker compared to Void Knight. And I lost, but it showed that, you know, a lot can be done to help develop my strategy. And another thing that helped with, you know, this would be multiple characters in battle. Like, as you people know, in Pokemon, you'll be able to switch out your teammates. The reason why they want to do that is because we're going to have elemental weakness implemented on later in the game, which I think will be put last, because, you know, it would cause some sort of unbalance, because some character, one of the characters I believe is weak to 2 elements, which is really sad, by the way. And right now the chaos element hasn't been implemented in game yet, so you still be causing some imbalance. And, you know, other features would be stats. I don't know how stats will work. I know that when you level up, you increase stats. I really think that stats should be limited to 3. If you take a look towards Epic Duel, 5 stats I believe was appropriate for them. For this game, just so it won't affect too much on battle and destroy balance, limit it only to 3 stats. It's a lot easier to go by. It's a lot customizable. No, not a lot customized. It's a lot more balanced in the terms of gameplay. And finally, you have artifacts. Now, you know, the judging from my going by my stats, you know, stat statement. That's why I only limit it to 3, because you're going to have artifacts which will help you in battle, deal more damage to the opposing opponent, or be able to deal a bit more damage to the element that you're weak against. You know, that it helps in the terms of combat. So, anyways, overall, Oversoul gets a 9.5. Well, 9.5 out of 10. That is my final score in the game. And, you know, so far in Oversoul, what you can do, there's over 100 characters. There are some quests that you can do already. There's also a possibility of an upcoming war with orcs and ogres, which I'm really looking forward to that. Please join the orc side. Never ever join ogres. Ogres are stupid. Alright? Join the orcs. So anyways, this is Totem4563. I hope you enjoyed this chaotic review of Oversoul. Laters.